Good evening. It's time for us to rise up, speak up and end violence. Violence against women. The 16-day activism starts on the 25th of November and it goes on till the 10th of December. And I've got a young lady. She's a woman who has worked tirelessly to eradicate violence against women, and she's an independent consultant on women's rights and gender equality. Miss Sama Rajakarna. Good evening, Sama.
Good evening.
I don't know if I did justice, with the introduction, but I think you are a little bit more than what I have basically explained about Sama.
Oh, you're too kind, Rosie.
No. Sama has been working previously with regards to women and empowering women. So she is a true women's activist. Sama, let's talk about speak up, rise and end violence. You're very passionate about ending violence, to eradicate violence, and the 16 days of activism that started on the 25th of November.
Yeah, like you said, it starts on the 25th of November. It's a global campaign to eliminate violence against women. And it goes on till the 10th of December, which is the International Human Rights Day. These 2 days were taken because any violation of women's rights is a human rights violation. So that's why they decided to end it on International Human Rights Day, which falls on the 10th of December. Lots of campaigns go on in Sri Lanka, in other countries. In Sri
Let's
Lanka,
talk about what we did in Sri Lanka and what we are doing for the next couple of. There are a couple of.
It was launched here in Sri Lanka. I'm actually part of the Forum Against Gender-Based Violence, and they had a launch here at the Golfers grounds, the Green, on the 25th of November. And that was the day also when they launched the international campaign called OBR, 1 Billion Rising, which has been started by Eve Ensler, the founder of V-Day. It's really scary statistics that have come out by the UN, where they say that 1 in 3 women globally is affected by violence at some point of their lives.
Any statistics with regard to the women in Sri Lanka?
We don't have, that's actually one of the biggest problems that we have, Rosie. We don't have very comprehensive statistics.
And the kind of work that you've been doing.
And that has resulted in increased reporting, or whether the incidents have increased. But what we do know is that the kind of incidents that are reported are becoming more violent. The kind of tools that they use, the weapons that they use to violate women have become from, maybe it was a slap before, now it's acid throwing, or it's shooting with weapons, things like that. So it has become a bit more aggressive, far more aggressive right now. So even though we don't have comprehensive data, what we know is that it is going on in Sri Lanka.
And it is increasing every year.
The reporting is increasing, and it happens anywhere in Sri Lanka. It's not limited to the rural societies, the communities. It's not only with the poor. It's not only when people are drunk. It can happen to anyone, and it is happening to many people across Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it was reported from the year 2007 to 2011. Children under 16, 15,138 children were affected or have gone through violence, and women, more than 6,700 women. These are reported cases. These are the reported cases. But there's a social stigma attached to things like this. So there might be unreported cases which are, even far greater than the reported numbers. Can that be?
Oh, you're absolutely right, Rosie, because the estimate is that only about 10% of the cases are reported. So that's a very small percentage of.
So it can be like tenfold.
Definitely more.
Just this year alone, in 2012, from January to September, 4,400 odd reported cases on kids. Now this is sad. It's not just women and children suffer.
Yeah, women and children suffer. It's sad if it happens to anyone, especially children, but even women, because sometimes we get worried when we hear about children and not so sensitive when we hear about women.
Yes.
But I think we have to be worried, and we have to take this issue seriously, whether it's women, children or men, because it's a violation of our human rights.
Absolutely.
Whether it's children or women or men, we have to make sure that their rights are safeguarded. These rights are enshrined in not only international documents, you find them in the Sri Lankan law, in our own constitution, where there's a guarantee of equality, non-discrimination, and even affirmative action is proposed in our constitution. With such safeguards, these things are still taking place, and that is something we have to be worried about.
So what measures, I mean, I know you're a women's activist, and you are basically a gender specialist, and that's your,
that's my area of interest in work.
Area of interest, yes, absolutely. So what measures are the civil society actors taking with regard to eradicate not only violence, also, I mean, when we talk about violence, one would say that this is as a result of, having extreme poverty in the country as well. How do you, basically...
I just want to clarify, Rosie, I think, yes, poverty has something to do with it, but I think the main cause, the root cause of it is the power dynamics. Okay. It's the powerful against the powerless, always powerful, right? That's why I say...
So it's always the woman.
It's most often. I'm not saying that there aren't any incidents where women act against men. There are a few such cases, but the vast majority are against women and children. So when you think of it that way, I think we have to take it very, very seriously. Like I mentioned before, we have safeguards, but we really need to take a lot of action.
Is it because people are not aware of their rights, the safeguards that are in place?
That's one of the problems. Definitely, that's one of the problems.
What would you or the institutions that you represent and work with do to make people aware of the kind of advocacy that you all do to make people aware of?
Yeah, I think there are two kinds of things that people are doing. One is preventative, where there's more awareness raising about what kind of laws are there, what kind of services are there, especially things about gender equality, promoting the idea about gender equality so that it addresses the issue of power dynamics. That's one way that you can go about doing it.
The other way, gender equality, I think we should go for a break, Sama. Okay. After this break, we're going to talk about gender equality and what are we doing to basically, have gender equality in a country that we call is a democratic nation. So democracy, does it actually prevail? After this break.